this thing off and no more dawdling around. Sometimes it's easiest just to start and not try to get too mentally worked up about it. Okay. Pardon me. Again, just doing my little routine where I sit here and wait till it looks like I am live. Cool. Um, Let me go ahead and just do some social messaging stuff about this. So I have them queued up and they're ready to go. Make sure I have all the relevant info in them. And again, if anyone watching has really good like tips or suggestions on how I can be better at self-promotion, please let me know. Um, I realize it's important and I need to get better at it. Okay, so tweet and post. Cool. All right, let's close those up. Make sure I'm still streaming, and we'll yep. Twitch says I'm online, so I have to trust it. And let me just pour myself a cup of coffee, and then we'll get going. Hey, folks. Looks like some folks are popping into chat, which is always cool. Thanaris32 and the Laboliol. Hey, thank you for joining me. Um, yeah, let me just kick things off and get things going. So, hi, I'm Joshua. Today is January 25th, 2017, and today I'm working on my video game Delver. You can see the website behind me. It is delvergame.com. Delver is a fantasy dungeon crawly, role play, roguelike. It's a mishmash of a lot of things, but it's a procedural dungeon crawler with permadeath. Um, we are currently in early access. You can buy it on Steam, or there's a humble widget if that's your speed too. You should get a Steam key when you buy it there. Also, what else? It is a passion project. I need to always make sure to kind of point that out. That Delver is a project that is primarily made by just two people, and I am one half of those two people. I am the art guy. I do all of the 2D and 3D art. I do a little bit of or do a good chunk of level design. I do some programming. With a small team, you wear a lot of hats, play a lot of roles. And as of late, um, so right now you're watching what is called a bonus stream, which means I have a regularly scheduled stream on Sundays at noon Pacific time, and I've been really good about keeping to that every Sunday. I don't think I've actually missed one. Even if it's been a short stream, I've always hit it. But the bonus streams come up when I have free time. So right now, my son is at a daycare, and I'm going to try to sneak a little bit of work in while he's out playing with his friends. Monday stream ended a little bit abruptly because I had to go pick him up from daycare. There was an accident. Fortunately, he was fine, and the kid who got hurt managed to only get just minor injuries. So that's good, I guess. Um, okay, so the last update we pushed out was in December. That was one where we kind of revamped a lot of the range stuff, a lot of the wands, a lot of the archery. There was some units, some more systems got pushed in there. There's a fire system, weapon enchant system. A lot of stuff came out in December, and for this upcoming update, we're shooting for a March release, and we're scaling back kind of what we want to put in it to maybe be better about delivering on time. Yeah, that's yet another role I've been playing is kind of a project manager, kind of setting milestones and tasks and stuff like that. So for this upcoming March update, we are working hard towards delivering a good Steam Workshop integration. So for those of you who are familiar with Delver, Delver has always supported mods pretty much from the get-go. In fact, that's how I got involved with Delver, was I started making a texture replacement mod for it. And Chad liked what I was doing, and he pulled me on his contract and then as partner. So we are very supportive of our mod community, and we really think that getting Steam Workshop like proper support would be amazing. It would take care of like the hosting issue of the files, it would take care of like versioning, all that good jazz. We think it would just be good all around. And Chad has made some excellent progress towards that. Um, Let me think. And I guess for me, one of the things that's important to me is that with the modding system, we can actually support language packs. So that's what I'll probably start off with today is just doing some localization work, which which is pretty dry, but I think for small developers, it's probably something you should think of. And I'm kind of lifting the idea of doing a community translation pack from the game The Long Dark. It seems to work very well for them. So I'm trying to follow their model um, where it makes sense for us. So I'm just making sure that we can load in uh, a custom font definition, custom a font image. And the big one I'm working on right now is making sure that all of the hard-coded strings get pushed into a JSON resource that people can translate. The engine already knows to look for the English one, and it will smash the translation on top of the English. Hey, Tony. Tony is a member of also the Seattle Indies organization up here with me. He's working on a really cool game called Gravistar. And they do dev streams as well. So if you are interested in develop in general, you might want to give uh, Tony a follow. Hey, Michael, thanks for stopping by. Okay, so I'm just going to kind of roll into my stuff. So I keep it on a separate branch, just so I don't. What do I have? Oh crap. Okay, yeah. So let's just discard all of this. I don't think it's just temp mod stuff. So let's go back to features language support. Let's do a sync. Hey, Shigrath. Thanks for stopping by. Okay, so let me kind of explain what's going on. So the current state of things, let me just close all, look at my assets. I put it, I think, in data strings. Yeah. Pardon me. So it's a JSON object. It's basically a hash map, and we have a key, which in this case kind of maps to roughly the class or the that this key belongs to. So the screen's namespace, splash screen, and then the press key to start variable. And then the value is I've kind of it's basically a struct, but it's a class in Java, but it's a object with two properties. It has a localized name and a comment. The localized name is actually what we show in game. Um, um, so for example, this is on the start screen, and the prompt that says press key to start gets shown there, and we reference it. We ask for this resource by this name here, and then the comment is to provide the translator some sort of context when they are attempting to translate. And this, I mean, sometimes like the play button, something like this, it's good to provide like what screen this is on. I mean, they can kind of look up here too, but it's also nice to kind of say what this is and what it does to give them context. Also, sometimes we have formatting. So like here, we have the information, text information on a save slot, and the localized name looks something like this, where we have um, this is a parameter that we insert programmatically, and then we have this abbreviation for level, and then this again another programmatic insertion. And what's nice about this is by having it like this, I can say in the comments that 0 is the dungeon level, and then 1 is, yeah, so I can tell the translator what these are, and also they can move the bracketed items around in case their language needs to reorder how this is shown. So that's where the comment really comes in handy there, and a little bit of message formatting also. Yep. So we have so far I've gotten all the items done, and I'm just kind of working my way through the menus. I'm starting with the main menu, kind of working my way down. Let me go ahead and fire up Delver, and I'll show you kind of what I'm working towards. Sugarrat says, hello there. Sugar Bunny says, hey. So, hey folks, thanks for joining. Sugarrat says, the latest big update on Delver was a blast. I love it. Thank you for the kind words. Yeah, and then Tony provided the, I guess the studio itself has an account where they stream from. So cool. Again, I'm getting some weird build issues with Gradle, and basically it's failing to kick off a build because it doesn't think there's any changes been made. And so it doesn't kick off a build, so it doesn't acquire the correct dependencies. So if I do something like, if I move the dependencies around, that's usually enough to make it actually work. So let me try this. Okay, and you can see down here, Gradle has kicked off a build. Let's go back to here, and yep, now it has successfully pulled down the dependency that I needed. Wait, did it? Let me try running it. Okay, so sometimes I need to do a run the clean task. Yeah, sometimes Tony, when I'm swapping between branches in GitHub, the build system gets a little confused as to what's actually changed. So I believe switching from develop to the language support branch has kind of messed things up. Sometimes fiddling with the Gradle file is enough to fix it. Okay, so it looks like maybe I've got it going. Let me see. Maybe. Yep. And to some degree, when you're working with third-party software, you always have to kind of figure out like how to make it work with your system. And sometimes the integrations are smooth, and sometimes the integrations are a little bumpy. Okay, so I have my junk, and for example, I have just some kind of these notes I've created. They're pangrams from a language, so I've tried to myself provide enough characters to support many translations. Basically, most of the languages that are roughly use the Roman character set, you should have enough to get stuff done. So this is French. This is a pangram. A pangram is a little phrase that uses every single character in that language's alphabet. So I found those useful to just kind of make sure that I'm hitting all the bases. So that's cool. And again, kind of to demo this, I can say press key to start. I can go from English to say bad Spanish. Yeah, sometimes I'm just using Google Translate, which is really gross. Sometimes folks are in my stream and they could give me good translations. I'll put those in, but just to kind of illustrate the point, you can replace this string here. And then when you launch, we drop in, whatever's been provided. So yeah, you can't see it all, but there should be. Yeah. So what we do is we have a strings JSON object that has all the English translation. And then what we do is we look at all the mod content, and if people have provided additional translations, we will replace the English ones with the provided translations. We do this in the case that if the translation is not 100% complete, we don't want the game to crash because it can't find the correct strings. Say Sugar says, in case you need somebody trying to German, just call it. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to get. So what we are doing, I'm in the process of working on, is getting the tools ready so that the community can translate it into any language they wish. They can put that translation up on the Steam Workshop. You can subscribe to that mod, and then boom, Delver will be translated into the language that the mod provides. So right now, I'm working with another local Seattle person who is a native French speaker to help him get the. He's working with me to make sure that we get a French translation going, and this should be available in the workshop on the very first day the update rolls out. And because he's a developer and he's a friend, he can work with me and kind of understand the process of ironing all the kinks out. And I'm still kind of going through all the menus and taking the text and pushing that text into a string resource so we can make things translate. Now, for example, not all the things we want translated. For example, like I don't know if you can see it right here, but down here in the bottom middle, it says 2016 Priority Interrupt Games. We want to keep like our copyrights, stuff like that. And there's also some hard-coded strings that are just like identifiers and never get surfaced to the player. So again, you don't need to translate those either. It's just the stuff that people will see. And I've just kind of been trying to systematically work my way through. Fortunately, Chad has organized his code pretty well, so it was pretty easy to find where all um, of the screens live. Let me see. MPSR is better than ECR. Yeah. Yep. Again, if people don't provide me translations on stream, I just drop it into Google Translate just to make sure. This is mostly just to illustrate, that we are in fact loading stuff out of these string resource files. So I can just revert it back to English. And I was looking at, let me see. I think I've gone through all the screens actually. This is really kind of exciting. So all these screens here, I've gone through. So like even like the key binding and stuff should be translatable, and I'm pretty happy about that. So let me kind of just play a little bit. So if you haven't seen Delver, I'll play so you can see what's going on. Hey Tyreek. 4-Bit Friday is a developer named Tyreek. He's working on Catacomb Kids, which is this crazy platformy roguelike thing with these really awesome systems that combine to make like insane adventures. He also streams too, so feel free to give him a follow. I think Tyreek usually stream on Mondays if I remember correctly. Cool. So this is Delver. You start at the camp area. And the camp area is kind of like a hub. It's always the same every time you play. Basically, it's a little shop that has some items that you can buy, from the shopkeepers. Because I started a new game, I don't have a lot of gold. But when you die, your gold will carry over from your previous life. So the thought is that you can maybe give yourself a little bit of a head start. We don't want to break the game, but we're still playing with it. I also maybe like to add a merchant that sells unique stuff that you can't find in the dungeon, which might be a cool way to do it. Again, it's a development idea. We were trying to add some sort of bit of continuation from the lives, so they're not totally just separate of each other. I'm not sure how well that's worked out, but it's something we've been working on. Yeah, Tariq, no problem for the shout out. I think your project rad, so I am not shy about supporting folks who I think are doing cool things. Okay, so again, this is a procedural dungeon, so Spanish note. What does it say? Something about the penguin Wenceslas, something kilometers before being exhausted by the cold and the rain and cold. Oh well. Again, it's just something I copied off the internet to make sure that I'm hitting all the characters in the Spanish language. Um, this is a zombie. He will poison you if you let him bite you. I've been playing around with the idea lately of maybe pushing the zombies into the cave levels, and that's for two reasons. One, I think maybe having enemies who can poison you in the first few areas is kind of rough for new players, and also thematically, I like to think of it as this level is mostly full of humanoids. And then if the second area is full of like dead humanoids, that kind of tells like a little bit of an implicit story. So I might at some time in the future push those down there, but I want to run them by Chad first. Speaking of which, Chad cutting in there, and Chad has also started to watch me. So yeah, well, lots of good folks showing up today. Hopefully, I don't let you down. So this level up screen is something that I need to add translation support for. So let me just make a note of that. Let me just fire up. Level up. Okay. Cool. Yep. Yeah, so for those of you just joining, I'm just doing a quick preview of Delver for folks who might not know what Delver is. The Fire Wand is one of my favorites. It was recently added in the last update, and I think it definitely, the wands now feel very different. It used to be that wands were kind of samey. They looked the same. They kind of really, the only thing different was the damage type they did, but now the shots behave differently, and I think it really adds a lot of variety to the magic side of the game. If you notice, I'm not really breaking many crates because we added a durability system last update. I typically don't break crates anymore, simply because they have a pretty, whoa, +4 speed. It's gonna be awesome. They have a pretty low drop rate, so I'd rather just not risk breaking my weapon and just push forward. Sweet. Fine Iron Mace. There we go. I'm going to keep my dagger around, so now I can use it to do things like knocking down doors and opening crates. Because if it breaks, I don't care, because I have a better weapon now. And that's kind of what the durability system is trying to encourage. Is whoop, crap, as I totally not do what I was saying I was going to do with my strategy. But the durability system is trying to encourage, like, you can't rely on just a single weapon throughout the entire game. You have to keep switching, and you have to kind of make do with what you've dealt. Okay, so this would be a good spot to use the Fire Wand, but they're too close, and the Fire Wand does have an area of effect. Nice. So now I can, let's just go ahead and swap those out. So again, kind of incrementally working my way up through better weapons. So any place in the game that says what the level up stats affect? No, right now we don't really broadcast that anywhere. I think Shogatsu is complimenting us on the new wands. Thank you. Yeah, we put effort in trying to make them not to make them overpowered, but try to make them interesting in how you can use them. And they say that Shogatsu said they went through caves with a 1 to 3 damage weapon last time. Yeah, sometimes the again, it's all up to the generator and what kind of stuff it's going to throw at you. But here I'm getting, like, you know, tons of actually pretty decent weapons. Yeah, let's just swap that out. Which is kind of crazy. Yeah, like, I haven't found any ranged stuff, but I found tons of melee stuff. And again, yes, some runs are better than other runs. Here's a little trap puzzle.
Quit hiding.
Wow, I'm just finding all kinds of, like the loot drop systems kind of give me an easy ride here. Yeah, no, actually I've certainly seen that because I try to demo the game to anyone who will let me. So a lot of times when I go to like so like the Seattle Indie events, I bring my laptop and I make other developers play my game just to get their feedback on it. But a lot of I've seen some people have a run where they've had a really hard time finding weapons, and you know those are kind of the breaks, unfortunately. Let's do some neat. Like it's like trying to tune procedural systems to feel good is hard. I'm sure Chad and Tyreek can both back me up there. Like, you don't want the player to be like over like a wash in stuff, and you don't want them to like starve. And having like a system that's smart enough to work with that is challenging. And yeah, so Tony has definitely been to events where I'm pushing my game on people. I'm not as aggressive as he's implying I am, but I'm pretty insistent, you know. And I do get a little hurt when somebody says they don't want to play my game, and I let them know that. Oh crap! And he's poisoned somehow. Oh man, I'm getting myself into a bad spot. Okay. Fire wand. That must be a poison pressure plate trap because the one mob was poisoned. Is this worn down yet? That's still excellent. So this is going to be good for a long time, actually. Thanks, Tyreek, for backing me up. I think, Tyreek, you even have way more crazy systems than we do, so like trying to find a good balance is so hard. And a lot of it is just like gut. Like there's no like mathematical way to really like say this is perfectly balanced. And even if you could, I don't know if you would want a perfectly balanced system. Like sometimes having things a little broken is way more interesting than having these perfectly smoothed off experiences.
Hey.
I guess like one of the things here in Delver, folks always they kind of joke about is the I think the Lady Druid. Like a lot of times, like she will sneak up on you and she'll just like leap across the level and smack you in the face. And it's kind of cheap, but once you kind of expect it, you know kind of how to deal with her.
Over here.
Yeah, I'm just trucking right along here. Yeah. So Shigrat says most of my playtime in Delver is after drinking. I don't think I have much gold. 60. I can buy arrows, and that's about it. It says this is Umbai says, what framework does Delver use? So I guess for those of you who are technically interested, so Delver is written in Java, and we use the libgdx framework. And the libgdx framework is a wrapper that sits on top of the LWJGL library that basically gives us OpenGL context, and I think that's mostly it for LWJGL. libgdx gives us some nice helper functions for like input and audio and stuff like that. So kind of I progressed into the cave area. This is one of my favorite rooms. I guess I don't know. Like I thought I was really being clever, but it's this platform that functions like you either have to raise it or lower it to kind of make it work the way you want it to. Like you can only cross this way. I thought that was a cool use, but I think it's rare enough that you really don't ever see it. Okay, Choco Bunny says, did you do any voices in the game? So no. For all of our audio, we contract that out, and my voice is not in the game. Okay, the spider might be the end of me. Nope. Okay. Cool. Good. See if I can keep him on the spikes. There we go. There we go. Again, that's kind of why I like maces and hammers, is because I can control where the enemies are positioned, and I can actually use environmental hazards to my advantage. Okay, got him. There we go. And I have all these cool wands that I'm not using, so I might as well just spam them a little bit, because I'll probably stop playing here in a little while. There we go. I also have the missile wand. I have a crap ton of fire wands. That's insane. So the missile wand is basically, you know, like it's a rapid fire weapon. It doesn't do a lot of damage, but it has, you know, quite a few charges, and it shoots pretty quick. It's the only auto fire weapon in the game. It's also nice too because you can use the fact that it's auto fire. You have when I have a lot of shots, you can actually use it too. Like right there, where I did is I actually shot down his magic blast, which can be useful. In theory, if your timing is really awesome with melee weapons, you can also deflect magic. Maybe we need to make the magic move a little slower for that to be more the case, but I personally have never been able to intentionally deflect magic. Now, demoing it, I've seen people do it by accident, which has been pretty cool, but the timing there is pretty tight. So I'm gonna go ahead and quit, and I'll get back to actually doing work. Shigrath says, oh, by the way, what about axes? There are swords, clubs, wands, and bows, but no axes or robes. Sorry for the spam, the game is inspiring. Actually, there kind of is a robe. For those of you who are interested, you can. So if you want, I have a repo out there. So part of this update is working on better mod support, better Steam Workshop support. So to that end, I've created a GitHub repo, and I have one mod out there right now that basically adds mage items. And in the mage items, there is I'll open it up in Photoshop so you actually see a good view of it. There is a robe in there. It was kind of focusing on doing, basically, this is the example showing you how to create items. So example mods, character story pack, mage items. So this has a hat, it has a staff, it has a robe, it has boots, it has a sword, it has broken variations for the weapons, it has a grimoire, and it has this is when you equip it in your left hand, it's open. It has a ring, and then it has a custom on the ground ring texture. And this is open source, and it's out there. So if you want to see how I did this, I'm calling it a character pack for Delver. And the thought here is these all belong to one character who died in the dungeon. So like maybe in a Dark Souls way, you can stumble across their items and you kind of figure out what they were up to. So right now it's just items, but I might want to tie in some notes and some other things to kind of tell that character's story. But right now it serves as an example of how to do like custom items. So Tyreek says there's a couple of projectiles and Catacomb Kids you can deflect, but the window is pretty wide and not attached to the actual attack animation. That's pretty cool. And I guess you can't see the boots because they're behind my head. But let me pan that over. And when you successfully deflect, the animation jumps backwards. Yep. No, Tyreek is all about juice and stuff and making it look good. We try to be better about that. And in some places we have it where I like it. In some places we could do better. So yeah, so this is art. Is again, if you go to that link I provided in chat, It's a GitHub repo, and if you go to example character story pack, and you go to data, you can see that I've defined a sprite sheet for those items, and then items JSON definition um, that shows you how I've created those. You can download this right now, and you can plop it into uh, your Delver mods folder, and it'll run, and you can play with the stuff. Basically, I've kind of tweaked it such that it makes playing a mage a little bit more interesting. But yeah, if you folks want to use that as a base to start your own mods, that's kind of what it's out there for. All right, so my one note was level up screen translation support 4. So I think that's considered an overlay. Chad can kind of back me up here. Yeah, level up overlay. So these level up or these overlays are things that pop up, I think, during game, and that's how we differentiate them from menus. So I need to just make sure that I add translations for this. So I can minimize my Gradle window. Let's go ahead and open up assets, data, strings. And I probably should have a better name for that. But right now, strings.dat works. And let's just kind of work our way through the level up screen. So basically, wherever we surface text out to the player is where I want to make sure we're translating it. Stuff that we use internally, I don't want to mess with. It's only on the display stuff. This might be it. Let me see. This method is add attribute, apply stats, make content. Okay, so here. Okay. So this is where we're checking our chosen attribute. So okay. This is a handler. So let's go down here and let's look at, so level up, we could translate, choose your fate, we need to translate, and then this is where we get the stats, and then we add, it looks like so yeah, so for those of you who know, we only give you a subset um, of the player stats to actually increase when you level up. This was to prevent it's just trying to again make you make interesting choices, so you're not always picking the same stat over and over again. Because of that, because it's kind of boring, but also now, for those of you who don't know, last update I didn't really broadcast it much, but your stats now affect loot drops. Not a lot, but a little bit. So if you go all health, you'll start finding more potions than compared to anything else. And again, not a lot, but it will weight it in favor of that. So having a little bit of a balance is good. But also, if you're trying to play like a mage, for example, and you put more stats into magic, you start finding more magic items, which I think is helpful if you want to like role play. The stat shuffle is completely random, pretty sure. Boop. Yeah. Okay. So I'm thinking these might actually be used to. Okay, so I'll start by translating the stuff that's easy, and then I'll work through how we are actually um, kind of figuring out what stat they chose to increase, because I don't want to translate the internal strings, but I just want to translate the ones that actually get surfaced to the player. So let's go ahead and do, I think just let me look for level up. There we go. And then let me find a good place to put it. I've been kind of just working my way from top to bottom as I go through the different screens. And then these are actually, so these are all the menu stuff up above, and then down here are, I guess they're player actions, like the keybinds, which is why they just have a pretty basic name. But we want to do something like, also if you notice too, this is actually uh, standards compliant JSON. Some of the other stuff, for example, is not, where you have these unquoted properties. I guess the serializer we use has its own like minified version of JSON, which it supports. But it also supports normal JSON. But I'm trying to keep this in vanilla JSON, so you can actually go to a validator or a beautifier, and it will tell you what you've done wrong, which is super helpful. And I've even used it because I had some duplicate entries in here. So this is overlays, and this is level up overlay. And it's not trap stat label. Let's say I'll just call it level up label. And then the localized string is level up. Cool. And then now over here, I need to replace the string with just a programmatic access of this. So game.localizedstrings.get. Then we give it the key, which is this right here. And then we want to get the localized name out of there. And I might clean up this a little bit. It's kind of long. Right now, all the localized strings are just a static property on game. And maybe they should have a little bit have a manager to kind of clean up how we access this a little bit, but maybe not. I don't know. Again, I might talk with Chad about that, or if you folks have thoughts, feel free to chime in. Okay, and then this is choose your fate. So let's just create another localized string entry right here. And this is choose your fate label. This is choose your fate. Okay, and I'm just going to copy this. And then paste it. And then I want choose your fate label. There we go. Okay. Let's go ahead and just test that out real quick. So let me do level up. Again, I'm just going to copy and paste from Google Translate. There we go. And again, if folks want to provide more meaningful translations for these, feel free to. But I'm just again verifying that it's actually pulling from the correct the correct string resource. Oh, hey, Jason. So yeah, so Siege Games, looks like he just joined. Siege Games is Jason McMorris, if I remember correctly, and he is working on a game called Kria. So there's so many really talented developers on my stream today. I'm very flattered to have you all here. Yeah, feel free to follow Jason on Siege Games. He streams development as well. Yeah, this is I feel in good company today. I'm getting warm fuzzies right now. Yeah, I'm trying to stream more often, Jason. So I stream every Sunday, and we have a daycare that's working out for my son. So I'm trying to do at least 1 or 2 bonus streams a week, which is pretty cool. It's still kind of an ad hoc process. Eventually, I would like to get it to where he's in like just a regular old daycare. Right now, he's just at a friend's house, and then I have more, maybe a couple streams a week that are more at a fixed time. Cool. So let's level up. So, okay, level up. Cool. So elevar mismo nivel. Escoge tu destino. That seems to work out okay. It pulled from the correct string resource, and it actually resized um, the modal dialogue appropriately. So that seems to be good. Done. Actually, let's pick a stat. And this also needs love too, again, because people don't realize these are buttons. So we need to either add like a little plus over here, or do something, because this definitely trips people up whenever they play. Um, and we were supposed to do UI work last update, but that kind of got pushed back. Um, uh, so let me see. El Mako says, any plans of porting this to PS4? So um, one of the things, so the project is written in Java, so it makes porting it to consoles a non-trivial issue. Either we would have to rewrite it, or more likely we would contract out someone else to rewrite the entire code base so that it can run on consoles. But that is a big if, um, because that would be a very big expense, and like it's like you have to balance your cost versus how much of a return you think you'll see on that. I'd love to see it on consoles, but I just don't know if we can afford to do it. Just be perfectly straight up honest with you. So Michael is saying use the map UI to make it better. So yeah, so Michael, I did share your mock-up with Chad. It's really cool. It's a little busy, but I think I really like the way you're going with it. Um, Jason's asking, are we going to get the game professionally translated? No. Right now, we are allowing you to mod in translations, and that's kind of what this whole update is about. Steam Workshop support. So I'm making sure the engine can actually handle a mod that will translate the game. Again, because it's just a whole cost thing. Like um, we're trying to be as frugal as we can, so we can make the best game that we can for as long as we can. um, Again, we're just trying to keep our budget low. Yeah, no, I agree, Michael. We need the UI definitely needs love. Um, yep. It's El Maco. It's tricky. Like for example, we're Java and OpenGL, and I believe I think the PS4 finally supports OpenGL, but I know the Xbox One is definitely a DirectX machine. So that's a whole another like layer of our like of a framework we don't own that would have to be rewritten. And again, whenever we talk to folks about this, like this started off as a hobby project. We didn't know that we'd have this much success with it, and I'm super grateful for all the folks who have supported us, by buying the game. But we didn't expect it to be as big as it is, so we never really like the decisions you make when you think it's a fun hobby project are way different than if you think it's going to be some big commercial thing. It's just lessons learned. Like, like I guess I learn best when I learn the hard way. Okay, so let me go ahead and undo those. So I, I don't want to lose the English translations, so let's keep that there. Then let's figure out what's going on with this, because it looks like make content, so that's probably reshuffle, and then we add attributes. What does add attribute do? Takes a table, a text, and a current value. Let me just walk through this code a little bit and try to parse it. Okay. These are actually breakpoints left over from so I tried to do a stream on Monday, but it ended up getting cut short because I had to go pick up my son from daycare. And it was some mod work that I figured out why was not working. Cool, so it sounds like Jason is kind of doing the same thing with Kriya, where he's trying to get things in order that the community can translate it. And yeah, I think that's Um, Not only is it an affordable option, but also it lets the community decide like what languages are important to them. And I'm pretty confident that the folks who um, are passionate enough will do a good job, or they will step in and fix somebody else's translation that's not good. Um, okay, level up. Okay, so this is the this was the level uh, title. Pretty sure this was the level up thing, the text of level up. Yep, we're adding that to the table. And then this is all stats. It looks like all stats is an array of stat, and a stat is actually just a little helper class for this overlay, and it has just a name and an integer. Um, okay, so let's go back to our call stack and see where we're at. Okay, so all stats shuffle. So then I think all stats now is yeah. So basically, we just took the list of stats and we shuffled them so they're in a non, you know, the non-standard order. And then we looks like we grabbed the first three and okay, let's add attribute. So selected equals play false. Yep. Attribute name label. So attribute name, what is that? It's a label and its text is speed. Okay. Yeah, no problems, Jason. Yeah, and if you ever want to pick my brain, or any of you want you know to ask me about stuff I'm working on, feel free to contact me. Um, my email is joshua.skeleton@gmail.com. I'm happy to talk about Delver, game development stuff in general. Just ping me. I'm happy to chat. I'll try to get back to you in a reasonable amount of time, but I am a stay-at-home father, and my priorities are taking care of my son. But then I try to be good with my correspondence. See you, Jason. Okay. Okay, label value labels is an array map, and it looks like it holds so the first entry looks like it maps speed to the label. Is that right? So it maps a string to a label. And starting values maps a string to a value. Some selection stuff. This is a listener. So what I want to do is I want to translate the label's text, but I don't want to mess up the logic that underlies how we figure out what they've actually selected. And I think generally we surface labels out to folks. So attribute name. So we're adding that. Let me throw a breakpoint here on this listener. Maybe on this. Let me continue. So if I click that, I should hit the breakpoint there, and this handler, listener, callback, whatever you want to call it. I think does it just change the color? It looks like, and it also maybe this so. yes, it is okay. So it's setting the text values. Okay, so it's just going through and updating the selected attributes. And this text is agility. Where does this text come from? Is it passed into the handler? Or is this a property on the class? This is add attributes. Interesting. Okay, so this is in the scope of when that's called, because that should be the label, the text of the label. That see, that might be okay, because if we put the translation here, we still have the scope that has the actual text. Yeah, thanks for stopping by, Shigrath. It's always cool to have folks hang out with me while I work. So I think that actually may work. Let me just try it, because I think because of the scope resolution, this will still have the correct text, even if we insert the translated one in here. And so the text is, it comes from all of these. So let me just rip all these out real quick. Okay. So let's do something like, let's select all these braces. Let's go to the end. Let's delete that. Let's go there. That should be close. Okay, let me clean that up a bit. Let me select all open quotes. Select all of that. Okay, so those are our stats. And it's probably gonna look something like this. Let me just null that out. Okay, those all should be the same. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's do something like copy those, and then let's select all of these, and then paste in all those values. Then go here, then paste them in there, and that should have all of our stats now. Things look good. Let me just copy this thing, and then let's go ahead and paste it in right here above the actions, so we get all these translations, which will be helpful. And I really like the multi-line editing of Sublime Text. If you folks can't tell, sometimes when you're working with data, it's really quite slick. Okay. So here I need to go to, I think it's add attribute. Yeah. And when I create this label, I need to translate that. So let me just real quick, let me create a temporary string, translated label, translated text equals game dot strings of get, and this needs to be text dot localized name, and then this can just be translated text. All right, let's debug that and make sure. Um, oh yeah, I do have the same key in multiple places. Um, that is problematic. So I have to kind of think about that for a second because this refers to a player's stat, and then down here this one refers to a player's action. So this might need a little work as um, um, to what's correct because the translation may or may not be the same for those. And the one that's defined last will always win in terms of a hash map. So let me see. Try to think of a way to structure it. I mean, because I basically I need to change the key to something like like player.stats.attack, or something like that to give it more context and to make it a unique key. Because yeah, this is something that'll trip you up. I mean, I can't just keep it to the overlays here, right? That's where I am. So overlays.level up overlay. And then I can go back here. Okay, let's just do that. So then let's go to here. And paste those in. And then I need to do something like string concatenation. So get, and this needs to be this needs to be this chunk here. And then also, yeah, that should be fine because that should be yeah. Let me debug that and make sure it actually behaves like I think. And thank you for the catch, Libolio. I appreciate that. So let's level up. And okay, let's just not worry about that. Let's continue. Step over up. Looks like I threw. Yep. What's going on? So throwable T, null pointer exception. Did I goof something up? Obviously. Let me rerun that again real quick. Be a little bit more careful when I'm stepping through. Okay, level up. Text is magic. Oh. This might also be case sensitive as well too. Yep. So, where is it? Is it defined multiply here or is it? Yikes. Okay, so I mean, what's the best way? I can't just make it case insensitive. Up here, I can make these agree. I don't know what changing these does, so I think I'm in favor of changing this here. So let's try that. Level up. Here we go. There we go. It's just gonna pull it through, okay? I still have, okay, so let me hit continue. We edit the attributes, they're shown there. Pick one. The handler gets back here. That should be fine. So let me real quick. Then I had, yeah, cool. Okay, let me go ahead and just try it really quickly. I'll just throw in some translations for these, and we will see how this handles it. Because I'm worried we're using some of these internally, but let's just try this and see if it works. I think it will. Cross my fingers. So attack. I'm just going to translate again into Spanish. Ataque. Velocidad. Salud. Should have known that one. Wow. This one's awfully close. Magia. Agilidad. I see a pattern. Defensa. Okay, cool. Let's save these, and then let's make sure that when we do level up, that we don't get any weirdness, but they should still display the correct strings. So okay, level up. Let's. Yep, that seems to be all coming across okay. I'll remove that breakpoint. Just continue. I think I'm more interested on this handler. Looks like I typed that one in lower, or yeah, in capital case and not uppercase. So ataque. Let's look at this handler. The text is still attack, which is cool. So this selected attribute is what I'm worried about, which is correct. Select the attribute, starting value. Yeah, okay. So far, so good. So I hit done. I could probably remove this one. And let's just keep leveling up and see if it behaves like we expect. Help. I'll go ahead and remove all my breakpoints and just kind of experimentally check things out for a little bit. So attack is 5, which is correct. Speed 5. I'll put everything up to 5, I guess. Speed up. Defense up. health up should increase my overall health more. It does. Increasing my attack should make this do more damage. Maybe. Yeah, 5 to 6. So yeah, so this is the important status here. It doesn't actually change the weapon's damage, it changes your damage down here. Cool, so it looks like actually my little strategy here is working because of the way we define that handler. We have the non-translated version in the scope, and then when we add the translated version to the label, it doesn't really goof things up. So yeah, it looks fine. Cool, and it is nice that the Lobolio caught out the he called out the potential collision there. Yep, Dake. Cool. Cool. I need to take a quick break, and I'll be right back. And maybe after the break, I'll get into actually doing maybe some art and some level design stuff for the mod, for the dungeon level mod. So give me a second. Let's say 12. Okay, I am back. Thanks for the quick break. Okay, so let me see. Let me go ahead and I think this is actually an okay place to leave the level up overlay at. Let me just commit my changes so I don't lose anything. Um, translation support for level up overlay. Commit and sync. Cool. So let me go ahead and pop back over to just the main development branch. Because it has some of the latest mod support stuff in it, so I'd rather be running the latest. Let me close that. Gradle's going to do a build. It may barf, and I might have to play around with my build stuff a little bit more, but let's just see what it does. So if I try running the editor, is it gonna complain? Yep. So let me fiddle around with my build a little bit. And if any of you are Gradle experts and you know what's causing this, please let me know. I'd like to get this fixed and not have to go through uh, this little song and dance every time I want to switch between branches and get. Okay, let's try running the editor. That actually might be a very valid point, Tony. So Tony's suggesting that um, the build system might not kick off a new build if it looks at the timestamp, because I think Git preserves the old timestamp. So switching back and forth between branches, it might not realize there's been a change. So for most, um, so for most operating systems, you have a command called touch, which allows you just to update the. So let's see, touch. No, bash. So we. Oh, I'll fiddle with that later. But yeah, touch just all it does is it just updates the timestamp on a file. So you can touch something to make the build system behave. Yeah. So Tony's suggesting just add a hook to touch the Gradle file every time you switch branches, which would be yeah, that would make life a little bit easier. Okay, so for those of you who don't know, when we ship Delver, we do give you the editor that we use to make the game. And also you can kind of look into, if you look into our assets, we have a bunch of levels here that we ship with the game that kind of demonstrate different stuff we're working on. So a lot of it, like if you go to the test levels, it's lots of different things that talk about, like for example, like the fire spreading. Like this is a test level that we created to exercise fire propagation, you know, and it's something you can play around with. And you know, like these enemies should catch on fire, and you know they'll spread it to each other because that's how fire works, I guess. And you can kind of learn how we've done things in Engine that way, but also um, you can look at the generator file, and these have the room definitions for our procedural generation of our dungeon levels. So, for example, like in the ruins area, if you look at like an intersection, uh, this is a room that will be used as a four-way intersection in a map. Um, yeah, and again, you can see how here we've done a few things where we've added these prefab braziers. If you click on it, it says prefab. Um, Also, we have a prefab here in the middle that is a trap. What is nice is this is it chooses from a set of 4x4 possibilities. So it could be a number of things. So every time I play, it could be an enemy encounter. It could be a different trap configuration, which is kind of cool. So that's why like I intentionally try to build these 4x4 areas into the ruins areas so I could plop down these prefabs. So again, looking at how we build things is a good way to help you figure out how to kind of go forward with your own content. What I'm looking at today is kind of cool. So I've been working on so if you saw the teaser image from either Twitter or Facebook, you'll notice that I teased out some science fiction stuff. So let's take a look at that. So in my GitHub for my example mods, I'm working on adding a sci-fi example dungeon area, which I think is cool. One, it's nice because I had this art just laying around on my hard drive, so it's nice to use it. And it's also nice to show you how much you can do with Delver. Assets, actually, um, mods. So, so I'm just going to go ahead and copy this over. And that's cool. So last stream on Monday, I was struggling a little bit because the way that we do The way we do handle the dungeon floors isn't super smooth right now. Basically, right now, there's no way. Like a lot of the mod content, like if you define new weapons, new enemies, um, they will we'll take everybody's items and enemies and we'll smash them all together and we'll use those. But for the dungeons, we don't do that. So I think for part of my work here, I'm also going to make sure that we handle integrating uh, different dungeon levels a little bit more cleanly. So that way you could make Delver much longer by adding lots of new floors. Um, let me see. So I added that there, and this has quite a bit of stuff in it. Let me open up VS Code. It's a nice little lightweight IDE, or just, even just for browsing it. So here, if you look at example dungeon floor, we have in our data, we have a dungeon definition, which just says this is how the dungeon is laid out. It has entities definition. There are a few entities in the level I created. Um, the sprite sheet, pretty straightforward sprite sheet definition, and then similarly a wall texture definition is also pretty lightweight. I also have included some example textures to go with it. Um, Again, I'm just trying to touch a little bit on um, all the things you possibly could do with the dungeon without going into too much depth because I don't want to spend a lot of like I don't want to spend like a lot of time on this because it's not going to be like shippable content. Like it's going to be an example mod, so I want to keep it light. Yeah, so Michael says he remembers that these appeared years ago in an art improvement thread on TIG Source, and what that was is another developer on TIG Source was asking for help from an artist, and I created these art assets, and then I let him use it to try to help him attract another artist, but he ended up just canceling the project. Um, if you look. Uh, there is this ND here. His project was called Night District, and that's why that's there. Um, um, and yeah, so it ended up not panning out, and I've had these assets laying around for years, so I just figure I'll use it for an example mod. And I've just been kind of playing around with trying to make some interesting stuff here. I'm not sure if I like these so much, but again, I don't want to spend a terrible amount of time on this, just enough to give folks an idea of what you can do with the Delver engine. And if I launch the editor, also for those of you who've used the editor before, you will notice that we now have a new open level dialog that Chad has written, um, which is nice because on Windows, for some odd reason, the native modal dialog was always popping up behind the app, and it would appear that the editor had frozen, but instead it had launched a modal dialog behind the app, which was really frustrating. So now we just have um, our own little file picker, which works great cross-plat. So that's kind of the big plus there. And then here is my example level, the one I've been teasing. Cool. And you can hit P to play, and I've kind of oh my alt key is stuck. Oh no. Sometimes this happens to me, and I'm not quite sure why. Um, my Wacom tablet crashed. Oh, uh-oh. Looks like edit undo. Yikes. Okay, so there's a bug, Chad. Let me go ahead and file that bug real quick. We should not be doing that. Let's do issues, new issue. Okay. Um, okay, let me see. That looks right. So signees. Let's assign it to Chad. Let's give it the labels bug editor. Okay. And let's go ahead and add it to the March milestone. Submit. Cool. Yeah. Yeah, it's one of those things that just I guess given the fact that you're showing it to people, it seems like you're 10 times more likely to actually hit bugs than if you are just like working on it by myself. Okay, so da, 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 da. So the reason that Monday's stuff was not working is because unfortunately the way we merge generator.zip is we don't. So we always prefer the one that is in Delver. We don't actually merge the mods generator.zip into our list um, of levels, which is kind of unfortunate. So I mean, I'd like to pick Chad's brain on a good way to do that. I think right now, um, I think I might just override the Delver stuff just to make my stuff work, and then we can figure out a more modder friendly way of doing this. So what I mean is to make my stuff work, I'll have to do a couple things. So let's see. So Dungeoneer assets. So I need to do something like I need to copy this here. And this has all of the cave, all the stuff we have there. And then for my example dungeon floor, I need to go to the generator here. I need to copy an example. And then now I need to bundle this all up. And then I need to override Delver's generator.zip, which is not super mod friendly because we're not merging together people's levels. We're just blowing away the defined levels. But this should work. We'll see. We'll see how that goes. Yeah, Michael says, cool of you that you made him a set of textures. Unfortunate that the project was discontinued. Yeah, I get it. Like it was something he had a little bit of time and he wanted to do some work on. I thought it was cool. It was a cyberpunk thing. Um, I just threw him some art and he threw me back some Bitcoin. And I don't know, like I just like it was funny because like I didn't expect payment and I certainly didn't expect Bitcoin. And I've just kind of let it sit there and just kind of watched it over the years. And it's been interesting watching like how much or how little it's worth. It's been funny in that regard. Um, so actually, let me try launching Delver proper now that we have replaced the generator.zip. So I think I've defined it that it will load up the example level as the first level of the dungeon. Yes, and it's working. So what you'll see here is this is I should probably make these available to everybody, but it's basically just a template of how rooms need to be built in order that they will actually connect, if that makes sense. So basically so if you look at the map, like this area is a start, this is a three-way intersection, this is a straight, this is a four-way intersection. and the orientation of these rooms is important because the Delver engine isn't smart enough to figure out like what side you left open. So you have to kind of follow a pattern. So that's what I've done is I've just gone in and dropped these in. And what I want to do is just give these a nice sci-fi coat of paint, and then we'll see where we're at. And also I've defined the downstairs incorrectly. That's why there's multiple stairs down, I think, or maybe not. Yeah, you have to be careful about that. Cool. So let's make levels. Let's make science fiction crazy levels. Okay, so delve edit, run. Okay, file open, and let's go to mods, example, generator, example, and I always forget if it's beginnings or starts. I'll just make these the same. Okay, so we need to make sure that this is the open edge, and we need to make sure there's a stairs up. But let's go ahead and just give this a new coat of paint. Let's pick the upper wall texture. Let's flip it over to our example wall textures, and let's make it look more science fiction-y. And again, these have some textures in here I'm not super thrilled with, but you know, whatever. We will push forward. You can hit Shift Enter just to paint stuff. What I want to do is I think it'd be cool if the hallways were 3 wide, and I'll have like some kind of cool bulkhead door here. I'll model in some future stream, and I want to give myself just a little bit of room, and maybe make it too high. There we go, 2 units high. And let's just kind of build out a little start area for ourselves. Okay, so hallway 4 is fine. What I want to do maybe is have something like this, but I want to block off the viz right here for some reason. Let me go ahead and pull this up. There we go. And let's go ahead and carve that out. Let's go ahead and put a marker here for stair up. And then we can go over here and remove this marker. So this should work okay. Real quick, you start here. There's that thing in the way. You go around it, and boom, you're leaving the first tile. So again, don't want to spend a terrible amount of time on this, but I do want to make it look cool. Let's do something like, let's also select these and just make it like maybe add some interest to the roof here. I think I also want to do something semi-fancy, so let me carve this, and then maybe have the upper wall texture be this red one, so I can kind of pull this up. In the editor, if you try to raise the floor above the ceiling or lower the ceiling below the floor, we won't let you do it, but we will adjust the other appropriately so it still looks correct, if that makes any sense. So there we go. So we have that. I might want to, maybe I should lower that down so I can have it, or maybe I could have all this upper stuff here be correct. So we turn off paint adjacent. Let me select all this. Just do that. Just add some cool details here. Level editing is fun. that is a nice thing with that. At least the Delver editor is pretty lightweight and it's pretty easy to use. At least in my biased opinion. You still have a ladder there, but that's all right. Let's go ahead and I've defined some prefabs that are specific to the example. So we have these example meshes, and I will place a floor lamp there, and I will Alt Control drag it to just duplicate it and snap it into place over there. So now when we hit play, we have these two floor lamps, which is handy for lighting up the world. You can manually just right-click, place entity, lights, ambient. You can just kind of, you can place ambient lights willy-nilly, but I like to have some sort of like real reason for it to be there. So that's why I created these sprite lamps, is to kind of have like I guess the term is diegetic reason why it's there. Um, I was working on a hex floor option at one point in time, but I just couldn't get it to look how I liked it. I have a weird. Um, I'm not sure if I like this either. I've been like I don't want to again. I don't want to spend a terrible amount of time, but I have this weird um, like this tank tread looking thing. Yeah, not sure how I feel, but uh, whatever. Um, Again, part of this is also to try to provide contrast, like between the light and the dark elements, which is why I did this dark floor. I mean, I don't know, just throwing stuff and see what sticks. Yeah. Yep. Gross. Whatever. Um, yeah, looks like did I goof up the upper wall here? For some reason I did. The upper wall should be that. So let me see. Michael says that he wants to do something sci-fi-y. Cool, yeah, sci-fi is fun. With the Delver project, I've not had a lot of chance to do sci-fi-y stuff, so I'm taking this small example or this small opportunity to do exactly that. I could do something like what if I made the lower wall like that? Nice. Does add nice contrast to the thing. Maybe I can. I don't want it to be that much, but maybe if I pull it down another unit, it'll be okay. And then upper wall is probably okay. Probably. It is a little repetitive. Oh well. Um, yeah, I'm just kind of I'm working on. So it looks like Dead Killer said they just joined with. I'm showing off the map editor. Yeah, I'm working on an example mod of how people would create custom. So I'm working through the process of how somebody would define a custom dungeon level. I'm also going through the process to make sure that the engine supports a nice, clean way of integrating it with other dungeon areas. Michael says, how do you feel about rotating textures around, considering most textures have a highlight coming from a consistent direction? Um, you know, that's true. You can try planning your textures accordingly, but I think as long as it looks okay, um, it's fine. Like I totally get what you're saying. It can make the lighting look wrong. It just depends if you think it's worth the effort making, four different images for roughly the same tile. Um, so Krogan says, is it possible to have one unique tile on the wall or more variety in tiles? Yeah, that's something that Delver does really well. Is you can define different wall textures to swap out. I haven't done that yet, but I will do that for the example. But like you could here, let me see, let me grab this, and then I can say the lower wall needs to be like that, and the upper wall needs to be that. and I can carve that, then I can pull this up. Again, so you get a little bit more variety that way, right? We use that all over in Delver proper. Again, here I could probably grab this. Nope. Grab that, and then make the upper or the lower wall. Again, just kind of trying to look at ways to add variety without making it look gross. So maybe like a stack of computers there, you know. And there is a way to just define a series of in Delver you can say this texture can be replaced with any of these textures, and that's a fast way to do that. Again, and I don't really like where this is going, but I just need to like not worry about that so much. I'm just trying to make sure this is lit well enough. Okay. I can do something like pop one there, and then maybe over here I can add a flickering floor lamp. Again, I always warn folks like um, it's cool to have these dynamic lights, but the Delver engine can only support like a limited number of them. So if you have too many in your scene, we will turn off the dynamic lights that are farther away and only show the ones that are close to you. So potentially this can lead to areas where like stuff will pop in and it will look weird. So again, be warned. It's cool. Okay. Yeah, all this, man, all that yellow's freaking me out, but whatever. Okay. I have the railing. Let's just go ahead and add the railing. I think it would be a cool touch. Let me just go ahead and just plop it along the wall. So prefab example railing corner. That's correct. Replace prefab example meshes railing. I can just turn that. So I have these meshes that act as like a nice little railing, so I can kind of decorate up the area a little bit. I might need to figure out a better place for that to live, but that I can figure that out here in a second. Let me delete that. Just like that, just turn it. Now there's still a little bit of a draw issue on prefab groups that have meshes. So sometimes just quickly toggling on the lights with L on and off again will fix it. But like, if you notice, like this is just a vanilla a vanilla mesh, so it doesn't have the same issues as the grouped mesh in a prefab. And I'm just going to drag out a bunch of railings here. And these lights are going to need to figure out a new place for these lights to live, but until then, it's a future Joshua problem. And also sometimes rotating the mesh also rotates the texture underneath, which is a little obnoxious, but it's workaroundable. course, I didn't duplicate it. Okay, let's see how that's looking. It's looking all right. I think I can just select the whole thing and just duplicate it to the other side. Pretty sure. Let me try it. Okay, so let me I want to duplicate on the x-axis. I want to alt drag, hit R to rotate on the z. Did it actually work? No, it did not work. Okay. So let's just pick the pieces then that will work. X, and just snap those in place. Okay. And let's again, we need to figure out a new strategy for our lights. Actually, what if I did something like this instead? Actually, okay, say I'm saying that word too much. Let me pop this over here. There we go. Let's pop this one over here. Oh, and I didn't constrain it to the, so it's handy to hold shift so you constrain it to the XY plane, because otherwise you saw how it popped up on the Z there. So that's just something nice to do. It makes building these little modular pieces a little bit easier, because they really should just kind of snap together like Legos if you built them right. And I've tried to build them on the grid so they do just that. What I'm thinking is instead here in this corner I can G to grab the texture, floor. Let's make the floor, I don't know, something like this, just a vanilla panel. Make the upper wall that. Let me turn off paint adjacent because that's not necessarily what I want to do, but I can go ahead and raise this to something appropriate like that, and then I can place the light on top of that. So prefab, example meshes, floor lamp. So we still get those in the corner, but we get also a cool lamp, and we still have our railings. So nice. We can also probably lower the ceiling to how low is appropriate. Yeah, that seems okay. Just trying to add a little bit of style. This prefab floor lamp. Yep. Nope, not a flickering floor lamp. The nice thing about prefabs is you can just go here and fix the name. Oh wait, that is a floor lamp. It's the one over here is still flickering and it still looks like, yeah, so this one's not flickering, but the one through the wall is. And again, you have to be careful about that too, because I don't think we, like when we do lights, we don't necessarily account for like occlusion or anything like that. So, you know, it might be better to kind of be careful how you place those. Okay. I'm just going to follow my little pattern, just keep on making a happy little start level. It's prefab, example meshes, floor lamp. Let's prefab, wait, let's go ahead and raise the floor, lower the ceiling. And I don't know, like I've noticed that having the floor at that level creates a tangent with the railing, which I'm not sure if I like or not. Um, but it cleanly divides the texture, so maybe I can just live with it. I don't know. Um, what else? I could do something. I like the pipe stuff I was doing with the other things, so maybe I can do something here where um, let's do something interesting and weird. So let's pull the ceiling up. Let's actually, I'm going to push this back here. Let's carve that out. Let's try and paint adjacent so we can paint the tiles that touch that. Let's pull this up. Okay, let's, I guess, make that floor the caution. Let's go ahead and I'll use my favorite little creepy pipes. I guess I want this to kind of crawl across the ceiling. That's kind of what I'm going for here. So let me grab that, change the ceiling to pipes. Let me turn off paint adjacent. I just want to do my selection. Again, G to grab texture, select here, ceiling pipes. Let's take a look and see how they line up. Not well. So we need to rotate them. So let's go ahead and select all of this. And if you hit Shift T, you can flip the texture on the ceiling. So let's flip it twice. Now it lines up nice. And I think what I also want to do here maybe is make it also line up too, kind of. So grab, I want to do paint adjacent. I want the upper wall to be this. There we go. And I also want the lower wall to be that. There we go. Now let's go ahead and I want to lower this. Okay, let me turn off paint adjacent and let's figure out what we're going to do here. Yeah, no, Chad and I played around with the idea of creating a Delver-like editor for Unity, but again, that's like way future stuff. Like again, we're focused on shipping Delver and making it as good as we can. But yeah, but making tools is cool, especially ones that allow you to be like nice and productive. That is one of the freedoms of writing your own engine is you get to write your own tools, which in some ways is a blessing, some ways is a curse. You just kind of have to be okay with that. Then maybe it would be cool if I offset this. Again, I'm just playing around with how that looks. So let me, yeah, this is getting into the whole like no longer being like, make it upper wall. Not super realistic, but that's okay. Like, for example, Doom, a lot of Doom stuff is more abstract than realistic. I think as long as it gives the kind of the impression that this is some sort of crazy, weird science fiction computer terminal thing, I think I'm going down the right path. And level building is one of my favorite things to do for Delver. It's just so like I don't know if the word. It's just like joyful just to kind of create little worlds. There we go. Again, I'm really just trying to accentuate this weirdness here. Okay. down more. And then adjust the angle on that one. Nice. Cool. Whatever. And then now I can just put the railing back up. Yeah. There we go. I guess something to consider is with Delver, you potentially could teleport back there, so maybe that's not so great. Maybe I should block it off more than I am. Because that is one thing about, like, if you ever add teleport to your game, you really kind of make level design tricky in some ways. Because now you can no longer really kind of plan for what is accessible or inaccessible by the player. Sweet. Nice. So we have this weird sci-fi. Again, a lot of this probably doesn't make real sense. I'm just trying to add some uniqueness and some variety to the level. That's all I really try to do in Delver, is not worry so much about the realism, but just try to make things look cool in an abstract sense. That's a nice little, like, cable thing going through there. Again, not much sense making happening. And it's nice to break up the symmetry too. Like having both sides perfectly symmetric is kind of boring. So making one side like all weird kind of helps you keep your bearings. And maybe I should do something with the other side too to make it less lame. Hey Chris, let me see. Thanks for the bonus stream. So today I have to pick up my son in an hour, so I'll probably go probably another 30 minutes of streaming. So if there's anything you folks would like to see me work on, please let me know. The first part of this stream was doing translation work. We translated the level up overlay screen, or at least we got it set up so it could be translated. And now I'm just working on my little mod example thing. So I'm starting to build level tiles to show how you might put together an example level. Suitin22 is asking if that's Z fighting. Yeah, I was staring at that too. I think there's some Z fighting going on here. I think it's with this weird angle here. The triangulation is getting a little confused. Yeah, especially like right there. That happens sometimes. So I can do a few things. Generally what I do is either I will cover it up, or I just will play around with the geometry until it's no longer doing that. So let me see if I can. I think if in Delver, if you make a selection, you hit V, it should switch between vertex and edge selection mode. So if I select this back edge, if I pull it up, see if I pull it to there, then our Z fighting goes away. Because I think the triangulation just makes more sense. So I'll do the same thing on this side. And I still think the effect is still cool. It doesn't have to be perfectly smooth, right? Like maybe I can even play it up by going back here. And then just angling this one down a little bit. Again, it's more about creating cool shapes than actually creating realistic architecture. But that does bug me, like, 'cause I think that the texture's not lining up super correct there. But let's take a look. Yeah, if I pull it down just a little bit more, then they line up better. Yeah. You know, that's something you have to keep in mind when you also design your textures. Like this pipe texture is a little wonky, so the repetition only works at certain points. Um, and it doesn't work at all here on the sides, but again, that's just um, uh, more abstract and less like realistic. Over here, I think maybe I want to add like some computer terminals. That could be cool. Maybe add like a bank of them or something. Okay, so yeah, I could do something like maybe select this and make the upper wall, turn on paint adjacent, turn the upper wall into computers. And then here I can select that and then make the lower wall computers. And then I can just pull, excuse me, turn off paint adjacent. I should be able to pull these up and have computers all over the place. Again, I'll probably use some more of that techie stuff because it's cool. You gotta be, I guess I shouldn't use it like everywhere, but I guess you won't really see this too much, especially if you're down here. Like that's all right, I suppose. Um, you got to be careful about like basically I'm doing the same thing on both sides, which it's kind of losing its a little bit of its flavor. What if I did something like grab that and make the lower wall this? That looks okay. And then maybe if I select this and then make the lower wall a computer, and then I go paint adjacent, put one right there. And also maybe up here I can select this, make the upper wall computer. Let me turn off paint adjacent. G, upper wall computer, lower wall computer. There we go. And I guess these computer screens would be better if they were full bright, because right now it looks they don't really read like computer, right? But that would be it would be harder because like you would only want the screen to be full bright and not the whole thing of the computers. Oh well. Okay. Let me see. So Chris is talking about Z fighting in the engine, which is cool. Little Luigi 737. So are you planning adding the level editor Steam Workshop to the public? Yeah, you can already do that. So when you buy Delver, we already ship you the level editor. That just lives right next to the Delver binary. So we're not stopping you there. Also, you can do mods. Mods are just defining custom JSON stuff. If you are so inclined, I think I pasted it earlier in chat, but I'll do it again. I have a repo that has how to do, this repo shows you how to do custom items, and that integrates custom sprites and all that kind of cool stuff. So if you want to know how to do that, you can do that right now. We are working for this update to have proper workshop integration, so it's way easier to discover and to pull in mod content. Because right now, what you have to do, like if I wanted to play mod content on Delver, you go to your library, find Delver, and then you have to properties, local files, browse local files, and then here you right click and say new folder, and you say mods, and then you can drop all the entire directory of mods into this folder, and it will pick them up. But that's quite a few steps. So we think the Steam Workshop will really smooth out that process and will make it easier to create and share mods. Um, Yeah, for tiles, you cannot have animation. You can have the tiles are still. What you might be able to get away with is doing something like, let me go ahead and save this before I forget. So file save. You can add decals. So if I would place an entity basic, and I did something like like a projected decal. And I could grab this and I can rotate it on the Z and I can spin it around. Yeah, I'll try it again. So rotation, let's clear that out to 180. So what that does is it allows you to project a texture onto the wall. So if you really wanted to have like a very specific texture in a very specific place, you could use this method to do that. Like if you want, like I use it to put like scorch marks or other kind of set dressing stuff there. I think you can also do, let me see. I'm trying to, I forget which. I thought some, okay, so we have so there's a couple different types of decals. Neither of which are animated. But yeah, so like right now, animated textures aren't something that we can do. Yeah, I mean they would add immersion. Right now we haven't had much of a driving reason to make them for Delver quite yet. Right now, like the biggest like we add stuff to the game if Delver needs it. And that's kind of what's driven a lot of our development, right? So if Delver doesn't need it, we don't add it. Is kind of in our mentality. Again, just playing around with shapes. Blah, 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 blah. Again, like you know, like level editing is really just it's nice and calming for me for some odd reason. Adding a little bit of height variation is cool, is good. Again, trying to differentiate these two different sides somehow. Adding these makeup computers is kind of working, but it's very similar to how I did on the other side too. So I don't know. Just playing around with stuff, trying to make it look cool. That's kind of what I do. So folks are talking about the giant door in the cold area. That's cool. Let me see. Again, let me save out my progress, and let me just test to see if this is the correct place to put it or not. So that was in Delver, Dungeoneer, mods, example dungeon floor. I think that was beginnings. Let me compare. So generator, example, beginnings, that is 47 kilobytes, and starts, that is 10 kilobytes. So yeah, so that was beginnings. So let me go to Delver, Dungeoneer. Oh man, so assets, dungeon generator.zip, generator, example, beginnings. I need to copy this out here. Copy, replace. And let me run Delver and make sure that that actually is the correct thing to do. Grace. Yes, so so that was correct. Yeah, so this is looking all right. So some things, like if you want to like test out like level fog, you actually have to run that in Engine. The editor will not preview the fog to you. And then of course, because the rest of our tiles don't have, they are still using the dungeon texture, we go into a dungeon. But I think this is a kind of a cool place to start. Oh, there's no collision on that. It's a little wonky. So they didn't check that out, did I? Weird. Cool. So it's looking nice. Again, I wish the floor texture was better or whatever. Yeah, so I think this is a good start to get things going. Let me quit. I think the easiest way for me to just revert my changes to generator.zip. And I think for maybe the last 15 minutes of the game, I'm just going to play some Delver, and I will take questions if you're interested. I mean, if you have questions about Delver. If not, I'll just have a little fun. Steal the shopkeep's candle, because you can do that. I guess it's nice to have a little bit of extra light when you play. That is not correct. Okay, let me just go ahead and revert all my changes, because real quick, I want to save out my start level. So let's go ahead and go to my example mod repo, generator, beginnings. Let me copy that out. Yep. Then let me go to Dungeoneer and just delete the mods. And now I should be able to play vanilla Delver. Cool. It looks like folks are talking about Delver suggestions, which is cool. It's always interesting to see what you folks want in Delver. I can't always guarantee that we will give you exactly what you're asking for, but a lot of the suggestions you make do influence our choices going forward in the game, so thank you for your feedback. We certainly appreciate it. We're trying to make the best game we can. We're trying to make a game that everybody, or at least not everybody, but we'll try to make it as enjoyable as we can. You know, like there are certain things that are just like design decisions that we've intentionally made, and we're kind of sticking by our guns on those. But some, if we haven't thought about it, you know, is listening to folks' suggestions is really, really, really cool. So let's walk that out. Crap. Ooh, is that? It's a paralyzed mace, which is pretty powerful. Which is why, again, one of the things the durability system does too is when you break a enchanted weapon, it loses enchantments. Because right now, like if you find a paralyzed weapon, like you can hit stun enemies forever, which is not. I mean, it's cool while you have it, but if you had it for the entire game, that makes the game kind of trivial. Okay, where do I need to go? I guess I'm not paying attention to where I'm going. Jeez, Joshua. It's hard to play while keeping an eye on chat. Okay. There we go. Back out this way. The Worn Iron Sword's probably not worth my time. Oh, hit me, how bad. Snuck up on me. Man, I really... Oh, I should be a little bit more... see, like how I'm using my paralyzed mage, maybe I should be saving it. I don't know. Excellent Iron Dagger is nice.
What was that?
Good. Cool. Excellent buckler. There we go. I guess you could use a little bit more protection. Probably wouldn't hurt. You want to offset Lucky Dagger. Nice. Again, the unique system is also something that we've recently implemented. It's not in its final state. Sometimes we kind of put systems in to kind of test them out. We're always trying to figure out what works and what doesn't work. So again, we're early access and thank you for bearing with us on some of the rougher edges. Yeesh. It is so this update we are working on adding Steam Workshop support, which should be really cool. We're aiming to have that done by March. Again, since I'm kind of driving how we how we're scheduling stuff out, I'm trying to have us bite off less for this update, and hopefully we can deliver it on time. Last update was basically a month later than we would have liked because I pulled on. Basically, I took it upon myself to start this like the redoing of the archery, which I think needed to be done, but since we didn't plan for it, like it kind of pushed our update out. So again, that's kind of why I do these streams as well, just so the players, you guys know what we're working on and where our priorities are. So if stuff does get, like if an update is late, hopefully if you watch this, you can have a good idea of why it was late. Whether it was because we're adding more stuff to an update, or we have life, stuff interfering. It's hopefully these are useful to you. But yeah, so once we get this workshop update out, I'd like to start working on kind of redesigning and redoing all these dungeon rooms. Because it's the case that these were some of the first areas that we ever built for Delver. So a couple things, like as we go, like as we've been making more and more areas for Delver, like we are certainly better at it. So, I think the quality of the areas actually goes up the further down you get, which is kind of unfortunate because these are the areas you see the most often. And also, like the tech has progressed as we've made areas too. So there's some things that we can do that we aren't doing here in the dungeon. So I want to give the dungeons a makeover, and that would be sometime after March, probably like March, April, May timeframe would be the time I'd be working on redoing that dungeon. So that would be a pretty heavy level designy update. Plus, of course, we're always fixing bugs and we're always looking at feedback. But that's kind of giving you like what the next two updates, like in our mind, are looking like. Again, they're flexible, and we kind of reprioritize them on the fly. I've been trying to keep them up to date on the Steam forums, but again, that's a manual process for me because we work out of GitHub, and that's the source of truth, and then I copy those over into the Steam forum so folks know what we're working on. So they might lag a little bit behind. Ooh, nice. I could use this just to smash open stuff, right? Because I don't care about it. And again, crates have a pretty low drop chance. But it does feel nice to smash them. Oh, crap. Alright. Let me see what else. That's kind of how I imagined the paralyzed weapons working too, was that you would paralyze an enemy and then switch off to actually fight them. And hopefully, I've seen some people do it. I've seen some people not do it. So I'm just kind of curious. Like, it's like you try to design behavior, but then what actually transpires may or may not actually be what you intended. Okay. I'm trying to use an item with a. So the weapons in Delver do have different reach amounts. So. So some items reach further than other items. So it's kind of important to keep that in mind. Another thing too is if you paralyze flying enemies, they no longer fly until the paralyzation wears off. Okay, I have a few minutes here, so let me take a look at chat and make sure that I'm asking questions that I'm not answering. Talking about items. Krogan says, Joshua, the music and sound of the game makes it difficult to understand what you say sometimes. So is the sound too high? I can try balancing that out a little bit. Just let me know. I think I'm speaking fairly loud. I guess I'm getting hard of hearing at my old age, and my wife always says that I'm talking very loud on my streams. So maybe I just need to play with the levels on the actual what's coming across on Delver. So Dmix says it is a little loud. So let me hold down the desktop audio a touch. There we go. Hopefully, let me just go back to playing and see if that's better. Please let me know. I lowered the volume on the game a bit. So Chris says, do the dungeons have more prefab rooms than other areas? Yeah, certainly. I think the dungeons certainly have the most variety of all the areas because they are the oldest. They have the largest number of room pieces. Yeah. So also we have ways of flagging room pieces as unique. And that means you will only ever see them potentially once on a playthrough. So that's why sometimes you might not see stuff very often. Ned Bolter says this uses LWJGL. Yeah, technically. We use libgdx, which builds on top of LWJGL. Little Luigi says, have you heard of a game called Lands of Lore? I think I have. I think I'm old enough to have remembered stuff like that. I don't think I've ever played it, though. Still no pole arms. That's something people could certainly mod in. I'm not opposed to it. Like, you can certainly add it, and like I think a pole arm should be somewhat slow, have good reach and good damage. But again, like the core weapons for Delver, they're not there. I would love to do a content bump before final release, because folks have been asking for like stabs and pole arms and like axes and stuff, and I think that'd be appropriate for like the final content bump. Yeah, that's a future Joshua problem. Necromancer's asking anybody found the Forgotten. So Chris says it's not about. It's not so bad when the game is paused. So is it? So I've unpaused it. Is it still pretty loud? So let me see. Chris says that's good. Everybody says thank you. That seems to be better. Laboyo says it's been a good stream. See you next time. See you, the Laboyo. Thank you for stopping by. Krogan says teleport's cool. How about teleport trap? Yep, teleport trap does exist. The pressure plate traps right now only appear in the dungeons, and they will pick from a random series of effects. So I think there is a way to wire up a teleport to send you to a specific spot. I'm just not a super fan of it because it has to be within the same room, and I think teleports are disorienting, and I try to avoid them, and I think for traps it's fine, but like I would worry about using it relying on it too heavily. You can certainly make your own dungeon area that does rely on it. Okay, cool. So it is 2 o'clock. I need to be winding things down and getting ready to go pick up my son. Let me go ahead and just quit here. And let me think. Let me go look at my cheat sheet and make sure I've hit all the high points. Um, so today we worked on more translation stuff, which I think is really cool. It's really important. Um, what else? Um, again, so at the end of my streams, I will show off user-made content. So if you are working on a mod and you'd like me to show it off during the stream, please email it to me at joshua.skeleton@gmail.com. I believe Chris, a few streams ago, I think for the Sunday stream is probably when I'll save him, he sent me his Hyperlight Delver mod, which was pretty cool. It was really fun playing through Delver as the Drifter. Um, what else? I've had some other folks send me some really cool levels they've made, and it's like really awesome to see what people make. So if you want to send me your content, please do. I'll show it off. You also send me fan art, whatever. I'm really, uh, I want to like promote the cool stuff that you folks do. Um, Again, thank you everybody for supporting me by buying the game. Thank you for hanging out with me on the streams. I look forward to streams. It's a cool way to work. It's taken me a while to get used to it, but I think I'm becoming more comfortable with it. And it's always nice to have people kind of double check when I make silly mistakes. Today has been a bonus stream. These come up kind of ad hoc. If you want to, my regular stream is on Sundays. You can catch me every Sunday at noon Pacific, and I generally do about 2 hours there. And it's similar to this. It's a little bit more structured, but not too much. I try to keep my streams pretty light, pretty improvisational. Um, I think that's about it. If you want to follow me on Twitter or on Twitch, that's the best way to find out about bonus streams. Um, you also follow Delver at Delver Game on Twitter. Um, there's also the Facebook page. I would like to, once we get the Steam Workshop up and going, I would like to use the Facebook page as a way to promote people's mods. So um, I think that would be a cool way to do it. Let me get the link for you there. If you're into Facebook, there you go. You can do it that way. I probably should add it to my little robot who talks in the stream for me. I should probably add it there too. Um, I think that's it. I just want to thank you folks. Have a good rest of your day. I will certainly see you Sunday with some more Delver development. Take care.